For starters, one thing I'll never forget is my first day on the NHL team. I sat down at my new desk and was given a list of all the new deeks that were going to be in NHL 18. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Club 604. If you're new here, my name is Blake and on this channel I post NHL 20 and GoPro hockey videos. Today I'm going to be hopping into the shootout, dangling some kids, and talking a bit about what it's like to work on the NHL game, transitioning from fan to employee, and the pros and cons of working on your favorite game. So sorry for the lack of uploads over the last week. I've been moving my setup around a bit and haven't really had the time or capability to be able to record or edit a new video. That being said, if you missed my first video, employee turned creator, you should check that out before watching this video, as it sort of prefaces what I'll be talking about in this video. So click the link above my head to watch that and then come back here. So what is it like to work on NHL? Well, for starters, it's probably one of the coolest yet most stressful work environments I've ever been a part of. There's ball and inline hockey leagues at lunch, there's soccer leagues, there's tons of fantasy sports leagues, there's a full calf, there's a full arcade, there's pool, there's ping pong, all that kind of good stuff. But there's also lots of crunch time. So what's it like transitioning from a fan to an employee? Well, for starters, one thing I'll never forget is my first day on the NHL team. I sat down at my new desk and was given a list of all the new deeks that were going to be in NHL 18 and was told to go through them and critique them. Well, me being a huge NHL fan my entire life, felt like a kid in a candy shop whose mom had an Amex Gold card with no care for diabetes or other health problems. I was giddy as hell and couldn't wait for what was in store. But little did I know things weren't exactly how they seemed from the outside. For one, the team is about a tenth the size of a team like FIFA, which puts way more limitations on what they're able to do in a single year. The thing is, this info is literally available to anybody. Simply take a look at the credits of a game like FIFA or a Call of Duty title, for example, and compare it to that of NHL. There were so many cool features that were talked about when I was there, but were never moved forward upon simply because of limitations like that and others. Looks like we finally found a game here as well. Jeez. But with that being said, one of the coolest things while I was there was having the chance to work on and watch major features be built from the ground up. One of the best examples of this would definitely be the new RPM Tech skating engine that was released in NHL 19. Watching that go from absolutely nothing to a literal game-changing feature was one of the best experiences I had working on the game. I remember when it was first starting to be worked on and we as dev support were given it to take a look at, and it was absolutely brutal to play with. It was extremely glitchy, the animations didn't match your controller input, and the whole thing felt clunky as hell, as I try to pay attention here. But it was something that I, being at my first year on the team, was skeptical if it was going to be completed to the team's vision. However, as the cycle progressed, it became clear and clear to me that not only was the feature going to be completed, but it was going to change the way the game is played with the quick stops and starts and shifty directional changes. And Buddy did a little shifty directional change on me there and buried one. Shit! But as EP here fakes the slap shot and goes backhand cheese, we'll talk about some of the pros and cons of working on your favorite game. So some of the cons. Personally, I felt burnt out from playing the game, and therefore I stopped playing it outside of work. That's definitely different for a lot of people that work there, and I know guys that work on the game for 8 hours a day and go home and play it for another 4. But when you do feel the want to play the game, you're playing last year's iteration, right? So this rings true more so later on in the cycle, when the game is closer to being fully developed, as we get another Geno right there, boys. But going back to RPM Tech, once that was fully functional and felt as crisp as it does, we were still a couple months away from the release of 19. And at that point, I had absolutely zero want to go back to 18 and feel like I was once again driving tugboats around the ice. So kind of a pro/con is you know the limitations and what to expect each year, and you learn to appreciate the small things. As the Massachusetts monster goes short-side cheese. But this year, for example, gameplay may not have gotten a huge overhaul. However, the changes like this new signature shooting styles and pickup techniques are little things that add so much more to the game in terms of realism and a game flow that doesn't feel choppy. Another pro, you're working on your favorite game, as we dub. But this is it. It's the game you've wanted to work on since you were a kid, and now you're doing it, right? There's really no cooler experience, and like I said before, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. And of course, if you're working at EA, you're bound to see some athletes around the building at some point during the year. While I was there, I had the chance to meet a few players from the 2018 Leafs. I also had the chance to meet Eddie Lack, and at one point we got a visit from Justin Trudeau, which was insane because they literally shut the building down like a movie. It was like security everywhere, just a crazy experience. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Sorry I didn't really talk about the gameplay, but if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe and get ready for the next video on Wednesday. Until next time, peace.